Right, Algebra 2, Lesson 3.1b, Solving Quadratics with AB or ABC. So first let's start talking about the zero product property. Okay, so the zero product property says this. If we have two terms, right, if A is multiplying with B and we want it to equal 0, when will this happen? Okay, well, let's think about this. If you have A, right, and let's say A equals 0, does it matter what B will be, right? Anything times 0 we know equals 0, right? So when A equals 0, right here, it doesn't matter what B is, our answer is going to be 0. The same way, A can be anything if B is 0, right? If B is equal to 0, it doesn't matter what A is. When we multiply this, our answer is going to be 0. Okay, so when A is 0, or when B is 0, it will make the whole thing 0, right? So A times B equals 0 when A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0, okay? So we're going to apply the zero product property to this example down here, okay? So if we want x minus 1 times x plus 5, right? So let's pretend this is our A and our B, right? So when will A times B equal 0, right? When x minus 1 equals 0 or when x plus 5 equals 0, okay? So that's the zero product property. So let's take this idea and use it to see how we can solve quadratics that have A and B, okay? So when a quadratic has A and B in it, these are pretty much the general steps you take to solve the quadratic, okay? So I'll show you guys right now. So number one here. So whenever a quadratic has A and B, right? So first you have to recognize the situation. So when you see this problem, you need to recognize, hey, this is A and this is B. This is an AB problem, right? So when it's an AB problem, this is how you solve the quadratic. The first thing you do is you'll take out the GCF, okay? There will always be a GCF because you'll always be able to take out at least the x. So the GCF here looks like it's going to be 2x. So I'm going to end up with 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, right? So now we're going to apply the zero product property. So think of 2x as the A. So when 2x is equal to 0, everything will equal 0. Or when 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, everything will equal 0, right? And then we just solve for x. So we divide by 2, x equals 0. So we minus 3, 2x equals negative 3, divide by 2. So when x is negative 3 over 2. So when x equals 0, or when x equals negative 3 over 2, it will make the whole problem 0, okay? Example 2 here. So once again, I have to notice, oh, this is A and this is B, right? A and B. So first thing you want to do is you want to get A and B on the same side. Okay, you want to get A and B on the same side for this example here. So it doesn't matter, you can minus the 8x over or add the 3x. It doesn't make a difference. Let's say I add the 3x. So I'm going to get 0 is equal to 3x squared, right, plus 8x. Once you get the A and B together on one side, right, and make it equal 0, next you want to factor out the GCF. Now remember I told you there's always going to be a GCF. The GCF here is going to be only x, right? Then we get 3x plus 8. And then what are we going to do? We're going to take x, make it equal 0, and take the 3x plus 8, make it equal 0. So x equals 0, there's nothing to do there. That's one of your answers. We have 3x is equal to negative 8, divide by 3, x equals negative 8 over 3. Okay? So you notice if you take negative 8 over 3 and you plug it in here for x, right, into the 3x plus 8, right, it's going to make this 0, okay? So as long as one of these is 0, it'll make everything 0, right? So your two answers, x equals 0, x 8 over 3. Okay, let's take a look at number 3 now, right? So this time I'll minus the 18 on both sides. So I get negative 9x squared, right, minus 18x is equal to 0. Now I notice a is negative, right? A is negative. I want it to be positive. So when I take out the GCF, I'm going to actually take out a negative 9 and also the x, right? So then I'm going to end up with x plus 2 on the inside is equal to 0. And then we're going to take each factor, right? We're going to take the negative 9x and make it equal 0. We're going to take the x plus 2, make it equal 0, and then just solve. So we divide by 9, negative 9, we get x is equal to 0, minus 2, x equals negative 2. Okay, those would be your answers. So quadratics that have a and b, they're generally pretty easy to solve and they're very straightforward. Okay. Let's talk about quadratics that have a, b, and c. Okay, quadratics that have a, b, and c. Okay. So when you get this example here, you're going to notice that, wait, this is a, this is b, and this is c. When you have a, b, and c, the first thing you have to do is you always have to make the problem equal 0. So I'm going to make the problem equal 0. I'm going to minus 12 on both sides. So 2x squared, right, plus 5x minus 12 is going to equal 0. So you must make the problem equal 0 first whenever you have an ABC problem. Okay. Next thing, you look for a GCF. Is there a GCF? It doesn't look like there's a GCF. And then you have to make sure a is positive. Okay. So basically, you're following all those steps to factor this because you need to factor this right here. Okay. So then if we factor this right here, make our x, a times c, and then we have b. A times c, that's negative 24. B is 5. Then we find the two numbers. So just factor like you learned how to factor a few lessons ago. So we have 8 and negative 3. Divide by a, which is 2. We're going to reduce this fraction. That's 4 over 1, right? So our factors are going to be x plus 4 and 2x minus 3, right, is equal to 0. Now, once we have our factors, we're just going to apply the zero product property, okay? So when will x plus 4 equal 0? When will 2x minus 3 equal 0? So minus 4, so x equals negative 4. Add 3, divide by 2. These are your answers, okay? So factoring, you guys know how to do already. So basically, you're just applying the zero product property at the end now. That's really the only new step, okay? Let's take a look at some more examples. All right, example 5 here, okay? So the first thing you need to recognize is what type of problem is this, right? So it looks like I've got A here, I've got B, and then C, right? So if you got A, B, C, then you know you need to make the problem equal 0, okay? So I'm gonna add this negative 4x squared to the other side because then that'll make my A positive as well. So then I'm going to have 0 is equal to positive 4x squared plus 2x minus 56. And then we need to factor this, right? So follow the steps for factoring. All right, so is there a GCF? Looks like I can take out a GCF. I can take out a 2. So I get 2x squared plus x minus 28. And then you have, basically, this is your A now, this is your B right here, this 1, and then this is your C, right? And we're going to factor this, right? So use the x. A times C is negative 56, right? This is A times C. What's the B? The B is positive 1. So it looks like positive 8, negative 7. Divide by A, which is 2. Reduce this fraction, that's 4 over 1. So our factors are going to be x plus 4 and 2x minus 7, right? Now, you notice out here, the GCF does not have an x. If your GCF does not have an x, you can just ignore it, okay? So ignore the GCF if there's no x, because we're just solving for x, right? If there's no x there, we don't need to worry about it. So make x plus 4 equal to 0. Make 2x minus 7 equal to 0. So minus 4 on both sides, we get negative 4. Add 7, right? Divide by 2, That would be your answer. All right. Example 6 here. So once again, I notice, well, I've got A here, this is B, and this is C. So I've got to make the problem equal 0. Okay? So let's say I add 10 to the other side. So I get negative 6x squared minus 11x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now I look for a GCF, right? And I also notice A is negative. So what's my GCF here? I can take out a negative 1. All right, so just a negative 1. Now I'm taking out the negative 1 because remember, A has to be positive before we use the x. So 6x squared, positive now, plus 11x and minus 10 is equal to 0. Now we're going to use the x to factor. So I'll do it right here. A times c, so this is my A now, my B and my C. So A times C is negative 60. And I'm trying to get positive 11, that's my B. So it looks like 15 and negative 4 divided by A, which is 6. Reduce these fractions. This is negative 2 over 3. Divide by 3. This is going to be 5 over 2. So my factors are going to be 2x. So I have the negative 1, right? I have 2x plus 5. I have 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, take the 2x plus 5, set it equal to 0. Take the 3x minus 2, make it equal to 0, and then just solve, right? So you've got x is equal to negative 5 over 2. Over here, x would equal 2 over 3. And those would be your solutions. Okay? Let's see, we've got 2 more here. So number 7. So I notice, well, here's A, here's B, and here's C. So it's an ABC problem. So I need to make the problem equal 0. So I'm going to minus the 22x to the other side. So I'll get 0 is equal to 6x squared minus 22x minus 8. All right, so make sure it's in the correct order. It should be ABC. Okay. Now let's look for a GCF. So what can I take out? It looks like I can take out a positive 2. I'll get 3x squared minus 11x minus 4. Right. So here's my A now, my B, and my C. A is positive, so I can start using the x. Right. So if I use the x, I'm going to end up with AC, B. A times C is negative 12. B is negative 11. So it looks like negative 12 and positive 1 are our numbers. Divide by A, which is 3. So negative 12 over 3. If I reduce that, that's going to be negative 4 over 1, right? So my factors are going to be x minus 4 and 3x plus 1. And then now, take x minus 4, make it equal 0. Take 3x plus 1, make it equal 0. And then just solve for x. We're going to end up with 4. We're going to end up with negative 1 over 3. Okay. Last one here. So I notice right here, A, B, and C. If you've got A, B, and C, all right, let's make the problem equal 0. So let's say I minus the 45 over. That's fine. Minus 24x minus 45 equals 0. Now my GCF, it looks like I could take out a 3, and I notice A is negative. I want A to be positive, so I'll take out a negative 3. So I end up with x squared plus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. And then I'm going to factor this, use the x, right? So I'll use the x right here. A times C, so here's my A, my B, and my C, right? So A times C, we have 15, we have 8, then we've got 3 times 5, right? That gives me 15, adds up to 8, divide by A, which is 1. So I end up with negative 3, parentheses, x plus 3, x plus 5 is equal to 0. Then take our factors, right? When will x plus 3 equal 0? When will x plus 5 equal 0? Well, we're going to just end up with negative 3, negative 5.